Some handing over notes of some 7 ministries have been given to us. We have them now, so our team is also going to look at these handing over notes and questions that would arise, and etc., etc. We've agreed on modalities and procedures for asking questions and how those questions will be answered, and etc., etc. So what I can tell you in summary is that everything is proceeding well. There was understanding. All of us have agreed to deal with each other on the basis of respect, trust, openness, and transparency. So we are very satisfied with the process as it has begun. Well, there was no response. We take it that it is a concern that he expressed in order that they would address them. And to the extent we were not really necessarily looking for answers. It was just a concern that we thought, please look at this for us. And I guess that they understood the language, So as adults, we didn't need a back and forth on it. We are operating according to law. Act 845 designates certain people who form part of the transition, who are the core members basically of the transition committee. And it is already clear, even by the designation in the law, in terms of law and order, governance, finance, and so on and so forth. So we basically followed what the law states in grouping the committees. There are no heads as such. I mean, the committees are made up of, for example, if you talk about the legal aspects, we have Gloria Kufu on our side. They have the Honorable Attorney General on their side, and then some lawyers on our side and some lawyers on our side. So I'm sure the understanding would be that the two people from both sides would co-chair, the two heads, from both sides. I just want to take it that in every process there are hiccups, there are hitches, and that perhaps they faced those ministries that are not ready faced some hitches in the preparation process. We want to leave it at that, and it's okay, it's fine.
We've had our first meeting. We have agreed on the composition of the committees of the transition. In the Presidential Transition Act, 3 committees are provided, but then there's also the opportunity to form other committees. So what we've done is that we've agreed on the committees. Some of the handing over notes have been made available. More will be made available in the course of the week. With the incoming government's team now have the opportunity to review those documents. We have agreed that the transition team will meet again next week, Monday. And so between now and then, we assume that the documentation that is made available to them will be reviewed, and if they have any questions on the government side, they are at liberty to ask us. We are working to ensure a smooth process of handover. That is essentially what the establishment of a transition team is for, and what the work we are doing is geared towards. And so the processes that we have just begun are to ensure that we can have clarity between the two teams as to what was the position as at the time they will take office on 7th January, and therefore they know what it is that they have in hand, and now it will be the responsibility of the next government to work with that and build on it. What I envisage is that as they go through the documentation, they may have questions. What is also the case is that whenever there's a handover from one government to another, there are always people who are in a hurry to try and build up relationships on the other side, and therefore might gratuitously provide information, which undoubtedly will be a source of questions. It's the reason why we have this structure that allows us to ask each other for information, to respond appropriately, so that whatever questions or concerns arise can be dealt with. I have seen an advertisement in the papers suggesting that the Ghana Armed Forces is conducting a recruitment exercise. Now, they are advertising for people to apply. It is highly unlikely that that recruitment exercise will be concluded before the 7th of January, in which case the incoming administration will then have the responsibility and will have the oversight to see how the exercise is concluded. Remember that when we have a transfer of political power, the state of Ghana remains the state. Actions that were taken with the proper authorization prior to the election are actions on which those institutions can take further action, because at the time that they were authorized to do ABC, the persons who are giving them the authorization to do so had the legal mandate to be able to do so. The question really is to make sure that whatever exercise takes place in a transparent manner, and that if there are any concerns that the transition team wishes to raise, one would hope that it would be addressed.